Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you've waited all weekend for. The national final for Street Stock here in Bunbury. 22 starters in the national final.
Twenty-two finalists to go around. The 32nd running of the SSA National Street Stock title is underway here in Bunbury. Anthony Beare and Hayden Norman from the front row. They sail off into turn number one for the first of 40 occasions. And straight away the two-time national champion Mick Hammond looking to the inside of Hayden Norman. They're three wide for fourth between Oldfield, Hoth and Bailey Heinrich, the South Australian champion. Shane Roycroft and Mick Dan getting in the mix as well, the two Victorians. But Anthony Beare is going to lead the first of 40 laps as they come into the front straight. Mick Hammond runs wide as Mick Dan runs over the right side of Shane Roycroft. They're battling the back end of the top five. Hammond out by the concrete wall down there in turn number two, as he's got working to the inside of Shane Wild and also Morris Ahern. But it's Beare from Norman and Jake Hoth. What a start in car number 29 from Debbie, running inside the top three from Oldfield, and Mick Dan your top five.
So it's the 15th time that Anthony Beare has led a national final. He moves out of turn number two. He leads Hayden Norman. Hoth in third place. It's Indian File at the moment, apart from a few further back. After Hoth, it's Jamie Oldfield, and then in fifth place we move out at turn number four, and we'll have in fifth place now, it is that of Mick Dan. Behind them is Roycroft, and then the seven of Hammond. So they move down into turn number one and two. Hoth runs wide. Oldfield goes into third place. Mick Dan goes into fourth, and Shane Roycroft to fifth. Hoth goes back to sixth. Out of turn four, we've completed lap number four, and it's the Australian champion out in front. Anthony Beare by 2 car lengths over Hayden Norman and Jamie Oldfield.
Mick Dan sits in fourth from Shane Roycroft. Jake Hoth is sixth. Mick Hammond is back in seventh, the two-time champ from Shane Wild, Morris Ahern, and Ben Norman is the South Australian champion, Bailey Heinrich, battling with him on the outside of the top 10. But Hayden Norman just making up a little bit of ground on Anthony Beare that time around. Jamie Oldfield is close enough at this point in the race, you'd imagine, for his liking. He's back there in third place on lap number 5. From Mick Dan and Shane Roycroft made a pretty good start in the Victoria 82. Jake Hoth is 6th from Mick Hammond. And further back to Shane Wild, Morris Ahern, and Ben Norman is 10th after stunning on the 8th row.
Damon Lyle will be the first car to be out of the race. He's meandering at the back of the field. And the 27 car not playing the game this weekend. Down into turn 3. Beare leads by 2 car lengths over Hayden Norman, who has not allowed the 6-time champion to get away. Jamie Oldfield is lurking in third place. A gap back then to Mick Dan. Then we've got Roycroft and Hoth. Back then in 7th place, it's Mick Hammond, then Shane Wild, Morris Ahern, and Ben Norman. There's a car on the boil in 5th place as Hayden Norman closes to a car length now. Roycroft, the car on the boil as they come into the main straight. We've done 8, we've got 32 to go.
Hayden Norman is really closing the gap on our race leader, as Damon Lyle is now definitely out of this race. Jamie Oldfield is just capitalising nicely on a couple of mistakes from Norman and Beare in front of him. Further back, it's a long gap back to Mick Dan in 4th, smoking Shane Roycroft from Jake Hoth, Mick Hammond. Shane Wild in his first A-Main International title for Street Stocks. He's back there in 8th with Ben Norman and Morris Ahern battling with the 2 South Australians, Bailey Heinrich and the former South Australian champion and Steve Gardner. With the 3 of them have scooted clear. We haven't had a stoppage at this point of the race. There'll be 10 down this time around. So 25% of the race in the books, and it's really closing up between Beare, Norman and Oldfield.
Certainly is. Nothing separating them then as the rest of the field, as Jamie Oldfield makes a move now on Hayden Norman, as Norman fights back on the outside. Dan is in 4th, then Roycroft and Hoth, and back then to Mick Dan, to Mick Hammond. Out of 4, they're nearly 3 across the track for the lead. Beare by a car length over Norman, a car length to Jamie Oldfield. We've got a humdinger in progress, and Beare hasn't got away from the rest of them, or not the 2 out after him, that at least. It's Norman and the zero of Oldfield all over the back end of Anthony Beare. We come up to complete lap 12 and Oldfield into second place as now Norman sweeps back around the outside, nothing in it after 12.
Norman and Oldfield having a great battle for second place. Anthony Beare, he wouldn't be aware of what's going on behind him. He's just controlling the race into the front of the field. And the EB Graphics Commodore from Mount Gambier in South Australia looking for a record 7th national title win in street stocks here tonight in Bunbury. He comes out of turn number 4, narrowly ahead of Norman and Oldfield. Got a long way back to Mick Dan, who sits in 4th place. Mick Dan's been on the podium 6 times in this event. Can he finish in the top 5 tonight in Bunbury? He's doing a nice job back and forth with a smoking Shane Roycroft. Jake Hope and Mick Hammond is back there in 7th place. But Jason, you've got to feel that it's really starting to close up, and we've only completed 14 laps.
14 down and still 26 to go. Roycroft's car is really smoking in 5th as Oldfield goes underneath of the 6 of Hayden Norman, moves into 2nd place now. And something I've said for many times in national titles that I've called, it's Beare from Oldfield or Oldfield from Beare. This time it's Beare from Oldfield. Into the main straight they come. We've seen this so many times before and we're seeing it again here in Bunbury. It is Beare in front by a car length. Jamie Oldfield's about to level up as they move out of turn number 2. It is the 6-time champion leading the 2 times champion. I've seen it so many times before. They level up coming out of turn 4. 16 down and 24 to go as Jamie Oldfield comes underneath of Anthony Beare with Hayden Norman in 3rd.
Another classic A-main for the National Street Stock title in progress, and Jamie Oldfield, the 4-time state champion, looks to the inside of Anthony Beare on the exit of turn number 2, and Jamie Oldfield, the 4-time WA champion, puts another 4-time WA champion Anthony Beare back to 2nd. Beare switches back underneath. Another classic final, as I mentioned, in progress here in Bunbury. What is the 4th Falcon of Hayden Norman got for the 2 Commodores in front of him? He's just losing a little bit of ground at the moment as Jake Hope now challenging Mick Dan for 4th, and Mick Hammond is still 6th, the 2-time national champion. We'll have 18 laps completed this time around, Jason, and look at Anthony Beare going to work on the bottom side of the racetrack, but Jamie Oldfield ever so slightly getting clear of the S46.
Yes, and Shane Roycroft is retired, and there's a long gap between nearly half a lap back to 4th. Hammond, Hoth and Dan are 3 across the track for 4th place. Jamie Oldfield leads by 2 car lengths. Back to Anthony Beare and then back to Hayden Norman in 3rd. Nearly half a lap back in 4th place is now Jake Hoth. Michael Hammond and Mick Dan goes back to 6th place. Back to Stephen Gardner in 7th. They still haven't got to the lap traffic yet, which could be significant. We move down the back straight. We've done 19 and a half laps without a stoppage in the national final. They come out of turn 4. Anthony Beare is still trying to get on terms again with Jamie Oldfield. We're halfway home in the national final. Oldfield leads by 3 car lengths. Oh, and Hayden Norman's out. Hayden Norman's gone. His race is over.
Hayden Norman with right front steering damage on car number 6. He hasn't gone the distance from the 4th Falcon here tonight in Bunbury after a near perfect weekend from Hayden Norman. He is out of this one, and all of a sudden Mick Hammond is now in 3rd as Mick Dan slowing on the top side of the racetrack. Jason, I think we might get a stoppage. The V23 is crawling over there in turn number 2, and for the first time in the A-main, the yellow lights have come on.
20 down and 20 to go when we go back to the last completed lap, and Oldfield and Beare.
Thank you, Morgan. We're about to get this one back underway. The John Day pace sheet heads to the infield. Jamie Oldfield looking to win the national title for the 3rd time in his career, and the 2nd time here in Bunbury. Anthony Beare has spun the back tyres coming to the green flag, and Jake Hope, who went around the outside of Anthony Beare in a heat race earlier tonight, restarting in 3rd place just ahead of Mick Hammond, and Steve Gardner's made some great progress in this one. He's come from P16 to be inside the top 5, and Ben Norman, who started just outside of the top 10 in car number 66, challenging Steve Gardner. Those pair of 4 Falcons battling for 5th place just behind Mick Hammond, and Jack Bunbury from the B main was up in 7th alongside Shane Wild. Justin Bromfield, who also come from the B main, getting amongst it, and Ricky Cornwall Jr. further back. Jason, Andy Maxwell Jr.'s hit the wall and he'll be out of this one.
He will. He's trying to limp it to the infield. He gets it onto the infield. The greens stay on. Jamie Oldfield now leads by 0.9 of a second over Anthony Beare. Still a long way to go. 18 laps to go. And yes, the car in 7th place, the yellow car from the B main has made up enormous progress in Jack Barnwell. They come out of turn 4, 23 down and 17 remaining. Jamie Oldfield leads, back to Anthony Beare, Hoth, Hammond, Gardner and the 66 of Norman. Then back to Barnwell in 7th place, Ricky Cornwell in 8th as they move out of Pearson Teddy's and back down the back straight here in Bunbury in the national final for East Pilbara Tyre Service. Our race leader is Jamie Oldfield. He seems to be coming back though to the race, to the car in 2nd place, Anthony Beare. The margin was a second. It's back to 0.7 of a second. We know that this has happened before.
Certainly starting to close up between the two leaders. 8 national street stock titles in the first 2 placings. Jamie Oldfield, a 2-time winner and a 6-time and defending champion. Anthony Beare sitting there in 2nd. Mick Hammond, the other national champion in the field in the same main, digging on the bottom, and the hammer from here in Bunbury goes into 3rd, puts Jake Hoth back to 4th, and Ben Norman, the 2022 Bunbury Speedway track champion, trying to find a way past the 2-time South Australian champion Steve Gardner, who finished 3rd in this national title last year in Queensland. Jack Barnwell is 7th, and he's having a good battle with his good mate from Kalgoorlie, the 18-year-old in Kane Della, and his first national title is doing a remarkable job.
Yes, it's still the status quo out in front. The first 3 have won 10 national titles between them. Jamie Oldfield leads by 0.5 of a second now. Anthony Beare closes yet again. We've seen this way too many times. Another thriller in progress. There is 13 laps to go in the national final. They're nearly 3 and 4 wide coming out of turn 4 for 4th place. Norman, Barnwell, Hoth is there, and also there is Della. They're stowing them in the back end. Gardner's on the inside. What a finish we got coming up for the minor end of the prize, and what a finish we got coming up for the major end of the prize. A dozen laps to go. Oldfield still just hanging on from Anthony Beare.
We're 0.586 of a second that time around between our two leaders. The elbows are certainly out for the minor placings. Mick Hammond is clearly 3rd, but Ben Norman, Jack Barnwell, Jake Hoth, and also Kane Della getting amongst it. Hoth falling back ever so slightly. Ricky Cornwell Jr., another driver that came from the B main. He's up behind Kane Della as they come out of turn number 4. That's Cornwell on the inside of Steve Gardner. Kane Della, remarkable performance to be up in 8th place with Bailey Heinrich with a smoking 4th Falcon further back. But probably just the distance of a heat race remaining when they come out of turn number 4 this time around as Morris Ahern retires from the race. 10 to 1 of the Bunbury Speedway, and it's closing up, Jason, between Oldfield and Beare.
Yes, it is, and Bailey Heinrich had flames coming out underneath of the car as well. It's back to 2 car lengths. It's back to a car length and a half. There's a car length in it now at the end of the back straight. It's Jamie Oldfield trying to make the 0 as wide as he can. He's left a gap on the inside. Anthony Beare is back in the game. Not that he was ever out of it. 9 laps to go. Jamie Oldfield just in front. He's no longer in front. Anthony Beare is back in front here in Bunbury. Down the back straight they run. It's side by side. Jamie Oldfield on the outside. On the inside it's Anthony Beare. They come up with 8 to run here in the national final, and Jamie Oldfield is back in front as they cross the line.
What a race we have in progress here in Bunbury. Beare on the low line, Oldfield on the outside. They bang dogs. They've done this so many times over the years. Jamie Oldfield found a bit of a hole on the exit of turn number 2. Loses a heap of ground to the national champion in Anthony Beare, who's probably 3 car lengths clear now.
On the back straight.
He's got a big crash on the back straight. Mick Hammond, I believe that is with Kane Della have come together. We were watching the battle for the lead.
And guess what? Jamie Oldfield will go back to the lead.
He will indeed. So Mick Hammond and Kane Della, I'm not sure if our camera crew from Clayton's will be over in car number 7.
Yep, and also the other car as well up in the wall. So we're going to lose a couple. Kane Della in the 9. Have a look at the 2 out in front. They come out of 4. How about putting your hands together for them, ladies and gentlemen? This isn't over. It's not over, and they are still side by side. I can tell you Jamie Oldfield will be back in front. He crossed the line 0.06 of a second ahead of Anthony Beare, who will have to pass him again when this one gets back underway.
He's going to lead him to the green flag with 8 laps remaining in the A main of the 32nd running of the SSA National 3-Stock title here in Bunbury. Oldfield hits the loud pedal and we get back underway. Ben Norman, the first of the 4 Falcons, in the running order, looking to the inside of Anthony Beare. So Anthony Beare's got 2 RDO WA club members either side of him. Will they try and gang up on him here as they head into turn number 3? Jack Barnwell has Steve Gardner in his left door panel at the moment, trying to find a way past. Ricky Cornwall still sits in 6th place as Anthony Beare goes to the outside of the racetrack. There'll be 5.5 laps remaining as they make their way out of turn number 4, make that 6.5 as they make their way to turn number 2 and down the back straight. Anthony Beare 3/4 track high, found a bit of racetrack to work with there. EB Graphics Commodore nearly side by side with Jamie Oldfield at the line.
So Jamie Oldfield, I don't think has got the quickest car, but he's making it extremely wide. Anthony Beare hasn't been able to pass him yet. Here's a move now. Barnwell coming up on the inside potentially of Ben Norman. They'll come up with 5 laps to go in the national final. Count them down. 5 remaining. Oldfield leads by 2 car lengths over Anthony Beare. We've got a thrilling finish coming up. Ben Norman back then to Jack Barnwell. On the outside of him is Steve Gardner, and then back to the 15 of Ricky Cornwell. Anthony Beare had another look up on the outside. They run down into turn number 3, and it's still Anthony Beare on the outside. Jamie Oldfield the inside, got a little bit sideways, and they're going to be side by side as they cross the line again.
That might be the moment for Anthony Beare. Jamie Oldfield was very sideways in turn number 3 that time around. Anthony Beare has the nose in front. Oldfield fighting back on the inside. The 2 4-time WA 3-stock champions. One from Ellenbrook, one from Mount Gambier. They bang doors as they enter turn number 3. Anthony Beare goes back to the front. 3 laps remaining here in Bunbury. What has Jamie Oldfield got? He looks to the inside of Anthony Beare. They make their way to turn number 2. A little bit of that traffic might come into play. They make a bit of contact on the exit of turn number 2 into turn number 3. 2 laps remaining in the A-main for 2023. Brought to us by East Pilbara Tyre Service, and Anthony Beare now has the lead.
He does as they go underneath the lap traffic. Oh, will there be a stoppage here as they move out of turn 1 and 2? As they move down the back straight, Beare by a couple of car lengths. He's got away now. He's got down into turn 3. There's a lap to go. Can Jamie Oldfield close the gap? The white flag comes out in the national final. There's a car length in it again. Jamie Oldfield coming back at Anthony Beare. Down into turn 1 the final time. He comes underneath of Anthony Beare. They move out of turn number 2. The crowd is up. Anthony Beare in front by a car length. Jamie Oldfield will dive to the inside. Oldfield hits the front. They come out of 3 and 4. Hip and shoulder. Anthony Beare is going to lose out to Jamie Oldfield. Oldfield takes the win. Anthony Beare second. Back in 3rd place, Ben Norman. Back into the 16 car of Jack Barnwell. Hold all tickets though. There was heavy contact in turn 4, and they've gone into the fence over on the back straight. It's not over yet. Oh, and he spun him out and gone upside down. It's all happening here in the national final after it's over. Oh my goodness gracious, I've called 14 of these and none of them have ever ended up like this. My
what a moment, Jason. Sorry to cut you off there. What a moment in Australian street stock racing. Let's hope that tempers don't get the better of people here at the moment. But what a finish. They were banging doors, banging wheels, banging everything coming with the checkered flag, Jason. Fantastic call with that final lap. And unfortunately, it's all gone a bit pear-shaped over there in turn number 3 after the finish.
Had to wait for a decision. Well, actually, sorry, there was one at Ellenbrook. We had to wait for a decision like this. People are sending in messages, I can't breathe, I can't believe it, what a finish, all those sort of things coming through.
So as Jason has mentioned, please stand by for a official result. Result is still pending with our stewarding team from Speedway Sedans Australia. Not what we wanted to see after the checkered flag, unfortunately, with a couple of race cars with some heavy damage. Worst of all, Jamie Oldfield unfortunately going upside down there in turn number 3 after the finish of that one. As Jason had mentioned, he's seen a lot of these national three-stock titles. There's been a lot of big moments in the history of this event.
As well. Before that accident, the racing between everyone was something phenomenal. Once again, a big thanks to the Bunbury Car Club for hosting this, as the energy down here is probably exactly the same as the box up there, with probably calls and conversations everywhere.
Yep. I'm just waiting patiently. The decision won't be far away, so stand by. Actually be elevated at this point. We don't know. Anthony Beare's car is mobile. So the 46 car is coming around to the finish line. And we're waiting for a decision. So Anthony Beare is out of his car. He's here in the main straight. He joins Ben Norman, Ricky Cornwall and Jack Barnwell. Jamie Oldfield's car is mobile somehow after rolling over. And he is going to join the podium, as you can imagine, as Jamie Oldfield comes to the main straight, to the roars of the crowd. It is stowed in on the side at the back. We are still waiting for an official decision. And we still have discussions going on downstairs. Third, second and first will be announced shortly. And never have we had a situation like this before.
As we mentioned, Jason, this was the third national title for Speedway Sedans Australia to be held here in Bunbury.
Okay, Alan, sorry, we do have a decision. In fifth place will be the V15 of Ricky Cornwall. Fourth place, WA16, Jack Barnwell. Third place will be W0, Jamie Oldfield. Second will be 66, Ben Norman. And now a 7-time national champion, Anthony Beare. A 2-spot penalty has been applied to Jamie Oldfield for contact in turn 4. The result will be Anthony Beare, Ben Norman, Jamie Oldfield, Jack Barnwell and Ricky Cornwall, your top 5. Alan, down to you.
Thank you, Jason. Anthony Beare is going to get the checkered flag, ladies and gentlemen. He's one of the all-time greats and probably the greatest three-stock driver we've ever seen in this country. Show him the appreciation for a fantastic performance here tonight. This weekend here in Bunbury, with the Graphics Home Commodore wins an unprecedented 7th national team. A thrilling final lap, and the S46 comes out on top. A few donuts for Anthony Beare, as you can tell. Very, very, very happy with that result. Won a WA title here 11 years ago, but I reckon out of all these 7 national titles in street stocks, this one takes the absolute cake at this point in time for Anthony Beare. Raw emotion from Anthony Beare I've never seen in all my years following this class when he got the news then that he was the national champion and will still be the national champion. He's been the national champion in this class since Adelaide in February of 2018, and that'll continue to be the case for another 12 months. Incidentally in all this, next year's national street stock title to be held just up the road from where Anthony lives at the Western Speedway in Hamilton in Victoria. But pretty excited with what has just unfolded here tonight in Bunbury's Anthony Beare. Let's show an appreciation to one of the all-time greats of Australian Speedways. He climbs from the car one more time, Bunbury. Make some noise for Anthony Beare. He's absolutely pumped with that result. You can't take anything away from him and the racing career that he's put together. A 7-time national champion and drove a brilliant 40 laps here tonight in Bunbury. Morgan Melbourne just walking past. He's put together a massive show here in Bunbury the last few months. In fact, the last couple of years. This title was awarded in 2019, in late 2019, to the Bunbury Car Club, and after a couple of attempts to get it underway, when things opened up, we're able to run the national.